Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Replenish retreat for Beltane. I'm going to give people a little bit of a chance to arrive and get settled in. I am really struggling very severely with my internet today. It is, doing really bad with internet. So bear with me and we will hope the technology and the powers that be cooperate for at least a half an hour for our retreat. Hello, Kim. Glad to see you here. Hello, Teal. Glad you're here as well. Hi, Bridget. Glad you're here. Okay, so welcome to this little Beltane retreat, Replenish retreat. Glad to see you here. Hoping to give you a little spot of encouragement, a dollop of delight as we embrace this Beltane season, as we step into a new month, as the wheel of the year continues to turn. So welcoming you all in. Hello, Heather. Glad to see you. Hello, Jody. Okay, so taking a nice deep breath and calling your spirit in, calling yourself into presence. I've been recognizing lately that there is a one-word spell of power, and that is return. So inviting yourself to return to this present moment, to this group, to this place. Perhaps folding your hands against your heart, maybe extending your awareness outward to your own landscape, to what you can see and hear and feel on the land that you live on. And a deep breath of gratitude for being here today. Okay, I do have some companion cards that go with this retreat, and they are available on the replay page. So if you got those in advance, you might have them with you. If you don't have them in advance, I will make sure to post a link to the replay page. That's where you'll find this video and assorted companion cards there. So hello, Anita, glad to see you. And Bandia and Victoria and Saray and Amanda, Colleen. Yes, Evelyn's here, Heather, Kara, Christy, Taryn, Jennifer, Leanne. Oh my goodness, so many people. I'd love to see everybody, and I'm glad to take a little bit of a sacred pause here. I had a little bit of trouble choosing which day to schedule this for, and I decided, I find in my own life that, so Beltane is a season. Each holiday on the wheel of the year is a season, and I find it helpful to remember that we can celebrate all season long. It doesn't have to be something that we do only on the precise day, and if we miss the day, then we've missed our chance. That said, I find in my own life, I prefer to be a little bit earlier than the holiday, like that feels better to my own spirit than later than the holidays. So I decided to go ahead and schedule this retreat for the end of April, preparing for May instead of having it be after and then, trying to recapture it. So anyway, welcoming you to that. Hello, John. Hello, Melanie. Glad to see you. Okay, so from the little card, and you can get those later, I'll post a link to where to get them if you have missed them. And so here it is, and allow yourself to really tap into your own landscape, to what's happening. What does Beltane look like where you are? These holidays in the Wheel of the Year are based on a Celtic agrarian type of environment. Where I live in Missouri, it does really, my own landscape really does mirror the Wheel of the Year pretty closely. And so the symbolism and what's happening to the land is really closely aligned with that traditional Wheel of the Year. Other people may have a different experience, and I really always invite you to tap into your landscape and what is happening where you are. And then that's what your Beltane holds. Just like that's what your north holds, that's what your south holds, that's what your Beltane holds for you, is what's actually happening with your land. So here we go. A simple ceremony for today, but letting you extend out to the simple ceremony in your own environment. A simple ceremony for today. Gather together wind and curiosity, open eyes and a soft heart. Call a circle of blue jays and white oaks, red-bellied woodpeckers and gray clouds. Sing with the leaves and move your feet in time to leftover raindrops. See the horizon line in the north. Hear the crows call in the east. Blow a kiss to cedar in the west. Bow to the open field in the south. Feel the magic you make right where you are. The breath of the sacred in your chest, the holy land beneath your feet, hot prayers in your belly, gratitude on your lips. Today, a sacrament of ordinary joy. Today, a sacrament of ordinary joy. So my theme today actually ended up being both Beltane and ordinary joy. As you already know, I'm a big fan of finding the magic in the ordinary, tapping into the enchantment found in our own ordinary days, in our own ordinary lives. And so everything really came together for this retreat with this theme of the ordinary. Lori and Karen, I see your comments here. So I hope you'll be able to put, like I said, my internet's being terrible today, so I don't think it should impact the actual playing of the video for anybody except for me. But anyway, I do see Lori and Karen are here too. Glad to see you. Happy Beltane. And yeah, the cards are actually available already on the Replenish Retreat Replay homepage. That's where I'm going to put all the videos. If I continue to do those throughout the year, I will basically just put those. I will always have the replay videos available on that same page. You can get to it via 30 Days of Goddess, and then 30daysofgoddess.com. There's a Replenish link at the top. And so anything new that I create for this series will all be found on that same page. And so the cards are already there for this retreat. But my plan was to send them out after as kind of like a little bonus, a thank you for being here. So if you have them, that's wonderful. If you don't have them, no big deal. You don't have to have them in order to participate. It's something I use to guide my own sharing, and then give them to you as kind of like a bonus for having been here to support you in your practices. So no, don't worry about any cards. You will be able to get to them, but they are there on the Replenish Retreat homepage. So, okay. So, well, again, now inviting us to take another deep breath and settle into our bodies. And I do wish to acknowledge that sometimes it can feel challenging or even almost, inappropriate to invite joy and celebration when there are people in the world who are suffering so deeply. And so I do want to acknowledge the pain that is going on for Palestinian people, and also in people in conflict in other locations as well. There's a lot of conflict, pain, and suffering in the world. And so it can sometimes feel almost like we don't deserve joy or celebration because there are other people who are unable to celebrate or to feel joy right now. And so I want to acknowledge that pain and that suffering, and also to remind us that withholding joy and celebration from ourselves doesn't actually help anyone. In fact, I would argue that continuing to find delight, continuing to see joy, continuing to find enchantment, that's partially an antidote to the suffering. If we can find those bits of magic and we can tap into the joy and celebration. So withholding things from ourselves because other people are suffering doesn't actually help anybody. Wayne Dyer used to say, you can't get sick enough to make anybody well. You can't get sad enough to make anybody else happy. You can't become miserable enough to make anybody else not miserable. You can't get poor enough to make anybody else wealthy. I mean, it kind of continues like that. We can't get depressed enough to make anybody else not depressed. And so it's important to acknowledge, to bear witness, to hold space for, without thinking that we need to destroy our own happiness in a way that doesn't help. So it's very complicated to even talk about, but I did want to acknowledge and to tap into that. And then also there's a relevant section in Replenish. So this is the Beltane Replenish retreat. And there's a relevant section in there that I wanted to call our attention back to for as we honor the transitions and the changes and the wheel of the year in our lives. And it is that the fact that cruelty and harm and sadness and suffering exist does not mean that other things don't exist. They're not mutually exclusive. In fact, giving up on the power of good in the world, the divine in the world, the sacred in the world, the holy in the world, the love in the world, giving up on those things only further tips the scales towards the bad. The fact that you're here right now, that you care, that you're thinking about hard things, that you feel pain in your heart and sadness for things that are happening to people and the things that are happening to the planet, that is its own proof of good. The fact that you feel deeply, the fact that you're present here, the fact that you look out your window and see what your land is doing, that you're bearing witness to the world as it unfolds, that is proof to me that the chord of the holy still chimes and the pulse of the sacred still beats. The fact that you're even here in the first place is proof of good, and it is proof of magic. So I would suggest to you that there's hope even here. There's beauty even here. There's joy even here. There's love even here. There's faith even here. But for right now, let your own two hands against your heart be the reminder you need that the pulse of the sacred still beats and the chord of the holy yet chimes. And then a little reading from Replenish. May we continue to lift our small fists of resistance, raising them resolutely to the sun, holding aloft with tender and sometimes shaking fingers the shreds of our joys, shining and stubborn, tenuous and tenacious, this bravest of acts and hopes with which to still hold on. So giving yourself a pause to think about those brave small hopes and joys, those threads of interconnection with which we still hold on. One of the things I remind people a lot is that we each have our own thread in the web, and as we tend to that thread, as we reach out to hold on, that whole web is also holding us. We are held and we hold. We have a responsibility to, and we are supported by. Okay, so may we tend to the web, our own thread, and the larger whole. And yes, there are so many places with which to send our love and our caring and to light our candles. And I know that it doesn't feel like enough, but giving up also is not enough. So we do what we can from where we are. Okay, so bringing us back to our ordinary day and our Beltane themes, I wanted to go ahead and read a poem that I wrote last year on Beltane called A Beltane Ritual. And so I hope it will encourage you to have a simple and sacred ritual of your own. A Beltane ritual. Seek morning dewdrops, regardless of whether you find them. Anoint yourself with love, fingertips brushing easy across your brow, resting gently across your heart, skimming lightly over your belly, lovingly cradling your face, a self-blessing of appreciation and renewal. Tip your face to the sky and let sunlight kiss your nose. Open your arms wide and gather energy in. Let glee settle into you. Greet woodpecker in the north and nesting phoebe in the south. Nod to blue jay in the east and bow to crow in the west. Gather cedar branches and hickory boughs, sprays of yellow wintercress and leaves of grass. Make a green man face on the earth, celebrate growth and blossoming, fertility and possibility, abundance and renewal. Dot his beard with bright, persistent dandelions. Gather around him in a circle, sing and share. Kiss someone you love and laugh together. Hold flower seeds in your cupped hands, zinnia, marigold, black-eyed Susan, and phlox. Kiss them tenderly, hold them to your heart. Blow your warm breath upon them and let them hear and feel your dreams and promises. Consider what is blooming for you, what you have carried through the shadows and into the light. Honor that you need to choose, that not all ideas and plans can grow if you are tending to too many things at once. Accept that the things you wish to see flourish require time, focus, dedication, and energy. Look into your cupped hands and realize you know what to choose. Lift your promise up under the Beltane moon. Live it. So one of the things that I feel really powerful at this time of year, we're not quite at the midpoint of the year, but we're approaching the midpoint of the year, and I find it really powerful to consider those seed dreams that we planted in bulk, those things we have been tending, the things we have carried carefully out of the darkness, planted, and we watch them grow in tender hope and potentiality. Those things, it sometimes can be time to choose between them. We cannot tend everything in our lives into flourishing at once. We do need to choose. And I find that this point of the year is the time in which we start to see what it is that we want to continue to nourish and what we can let go of. And it really does. This season invites us to choose, as well as to celebrate those things we love, as well as to tend to our joy and to our own flourishing, but to also to choose between all those little seedlings that we've planted. Which ones do we want to pour our energy into? Where do we want to blow our warm breath? What do we want to pour our energy into? We really do have to choose. And that can be hard. I joke about it. It's the blessing and the burden of a human-sized life is that we do have to choose. And in my life, it's often there's many good things to choose from. There's a time, when you see little memes and things on the internet about, cutting things off and letting things go, there seems to be sometimes a built-in assumption that it's the, like you have a bunch of stuff that you're not interested in or that you don't care about that you need to let go. So you're trimming off kind of the extraneous. I find in my own life, I trimmed off the extraneous a long time ago. And sometimes I'm left with some really good things and I still actually have to choose between them. So this Beltane, may you choose and then hold that promise up under the Beltane moon. This is a time to commit. Next month, our theme in June, our theme is going to be renew, so we can consider which promises we wish to renew and what we wish to tend to. So anyway, whoops, I'm kicking stuff on the ground here. That is okay. Okay, so continuing with the ordinary day kind of theme, one of the things I wanted to point out is that basically life is made in these ordinary days. And so the other companion card is based on a quote that I had from a couple of years ago, but also connecting it to The Life Organizer by Jennifer Loudon. And so the quote is this. It's from Ann Wilson Schaaf in, I believe, Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much. Perhaps the most exciting adventure that any of us can have is the adventure of an ordinary day. Life is made up of ordinary days, made extraordinary by what we do with them. We have that power. So there's no such thing as an ordinary day, basically. Like we have the power to make, to do much good with our own ordinary days. And so that is what I wanted to share from that quote. I always think it's interesting. The most exciting adventure any of us can have is the adventure of an ordinary day. And what I take from that is I think it means really sinking into where we are. You know, we can get focused on the holiday or the vacation or the special event or whatever it is that's going on, but really our lives are made in these ordinary days, and small moments build powerful practices over time. And so then connected to that for the from this Life Organizer book, there's a quote from K. Redfield Jamison at the top that says, "Delight has its own reward, adventure its own pleasure." And the questions that Jennifer includes here is, where am I in respect to this moment? Where am I in respect to this moment? Where am I in respect to me? Where am I in respect to this moment? And I find that a really helpful question. And also continuing with, like I said, that one-word spell of power, which is return. The one-word spell of power is to return. Where are we in respect to this moment? Hopefully, we're right here. Hopefully, we're right here. And then she has another question, which is, I can tempt more breathing space and stillness into my life by ... I can tempt more breathing space and stillness into my life. Sometimes that can be asking, what do I need to let go of? Who can I ask for help? Or even, is this thought true? You know, is this useful? Is this true for me? And an affirmation for this week. My life is both powerful and ordinary. I love the paradox between being like an infinite creature with infinite imagination and infinite potential, part of the very infinite herself, right? The infinite herself, that original seed of original creation that birthed the whole universe, that's still alive inside us right now. Like, we each have a piece of that seed of original creation, that infinite creation is alive in us right now. We're here. That means that we are infinite too. And at the same time, we're finite, and we have our one brain, our two hands, and our one little body that needs to sleep and eat and rest and get hugs and all that kind of stuff. And it's really a powerful paradox to be both infinite and finite all in one. And it is, so I love that affirmation. My life is both powerful and ordinary. We're both infinite and finite in one. We have the soft animal body. Props to Mary Oliver. We have the soft animal body, and we have this whole infinite universe within us at all times. And sometimes that can feel a lot for our little human selves to handle. So that's why I come back to that magic of the ordinary. Yeah, the ordinary, Teal, the ordinary is actually extraordinary. And that's why my books, my poetry books are called, the series is In the Temple of the Ordinary, because I really find, like, each day, like, I worship in the Temple of the Ordinary, and each day I find out how extraordinary it is to be in the Temple of the Ordinary. And that's that joined hands of paradox as well. It's ordinary and extraordinary together, and it can hold hands. Those things can hold hands. Okay, so going back to the book, I had a little section in my Replenish book. Okay, so in the Replenish book, I wanted to share that in daily practice, we're invited to nourish and tend to the life we really have right now. And it's the life we really have right now. That's what we're nourishing and tending. That's how we are flourishing and thriving, is right there in our lives. Practice happens day by day, moment by moment, hour by hour, month by month. Does not happen 500 days at once, 1,200 days at once, 30 days, 300 days, 1,000 days. They still only happen one moment at a time. And so here's this, a still from Replenish. Stop waiting to be finished. Stop waiting to get it all done. Stop waiting to arrive. This is the temple. This is the temple. Life will not wait for you, so you must create what you seek right now in the middle of everything. And then a reminder, there's things that you don't have to earn in your life. Joy, rest, breath, being centered in your own life. You don't have to earn any of those. You have a birthright for joy, rest, breath, and being centered in your own life. There are no permission slips required. No permission slips required. Okay. So then I did want to go ahead and read you a prayer, because this book is set up as a 90-day devotional, meant that you have a little tiny spot of time for 90 days worth of sacred pauses and you can really dip and dive into it at any time. Like you could just open it randomly like an oracle, or you can go day by day in a 90-day devotional practice. So I personally am on day 59 with this book, and so that is what I wanted to offer to you. And if this connects with you, you may wish to sit with your hand on your heart and a hand on your belly and actually repeat this one out loud. It's kind of a prayer of dedication. And as we were just talking about, the choosing your things, the making your commitment, the choosing what you've carried out of the shadows and into the light, what you've been nourishing and tending, and what you're gonna lift up in renewal under this Beltane moon. This is a good promise of rededication. I dedicate myself to this, my life, to brave and joyful wholeness, to bold stillness and patient listening, to wild blazes of fierce and irresistible creativity. I dedicate myself to the sacred, to the path of the seeker and the ways of the mystic. I dedicate myself to finding magic in all things. I dedicate myself to finding the extraordinary in the ordinary every day. And that's not to say that everything's always alive and sparkling with magic. I do think there's threads of magic threaded around and through every single day that we live. There's magic threaded around and through it. But it doesn't mean that every moment is sparkling with wonder. There's a lot of crappy moments in an ordinary life. But usually when we tap in, when we step into and through, we can see something. There's something there to be discovered when we utter that one-word spell of power, return. Uttering the one-word spell of power to return. We usually can spot a bit of magic there. Okay. So inviting yourself to, again, center yourself within your body, returning. Your body's the quickest doorway back to the sacred. It's a portal of presence. It's a doorway of returning. It's a sacred space right here, right now. So allowing yourself to let your neck ease and your shoulders soften. And perhaps taking one hand and putting it on the top of your head and the other hand on the back of your neck. And taking a deep breath, letting your energy settle, calling your spirit back. That's something I come back to over and over again, is call your spirit back. Our spirits wander, especially with various social media platforms. It's almost like there's little parts of us living little digital lives without us. You know, our little Facebook page is living a little digital life. And if we have a blog or a newsletter, it's kind of living its little digital life. And it can be helpful to remember to call our spirits back, to unite our fragments back inside our own forms. So the hand on your head and the hand on the back of your neck can ground you, pulling that power back in. Because we really do need to defragment our lives in order to be present, in order to give from a place of wholeness and center instead of a place of fragmentation and distraction. And again, that's not meant to be any kind of chastisement. I am just as likely as the next person to get fragmented and distracted. That's why it's so important to pull ourselves back into the body, into this place, this portal of returning. So deep breath, and then folding your hands against your heart. Here you are, right here in your own life, recommitting to your own life. You may need to recommit every single day. I've been saying a lot this year, I am in devotion to my own life. I am in devotion to life herself. This might be something you have to remind yourself of every single day, just like you have to remind yourself to return every single day. but that's the power. And I shared that in a community practice last week with our Goddess Magic community. We do community practices like this every Monday in the Goddess Magic community, which is a benefit of my Patreon. So if you want to share more live space with other people, you are welcome to join us in the Goddess Magic community. And there's a weekly live community practice. But one of the things I said is I really think that the heart of a devotional life is those three things: remember, return, and begin. Remember, return, and begin. And I even made it into a little song. I think it was Kim that suggested it could be a song. So I actually recorded it as a little song. I'm not going to sing it right now because I have my limits on what I'll do on camera, and randomly singing a little song I just made up is not one of the things I'm going to do. But I did record it, and I'll share that with the Goddess Magic people because it really does make a little song. Remember, return, begin, again and again and again. And I've actually found that helpful. So that's really it's really like the heart of a devotional life is remembering, returning, and beginning. And repeat. Remember, return, begin, and repeat that over and over and over again. It's not about becoming perfect, and it's not about permanently arriving. It's about returning again and again. Okay, so we are already at the end of our half an hour together. So I'm sending you so much love and encouragement for your Beltane season. The poem I read at the beginning, that is our family's ritual. A lot of my work, the bulk of my work is very goddess-centered or earth-centered, kind of nondescript, non-gendered, the sacred. But on Beltane, we always make a green man in our field. It's one of the kids' favorite things to do. And so I do encourage you to build a little green man. You can make him really small. You can just use leaves and grass and do it on the desk or something. But we do it we make a green man in the field. And it's so much fun to gather the branches and the leaves and to make this green man face in the field. So that's our honoring for Beltane. We do an anointing with oil. We sing together, and we also usually plant flower seeds that we blow our little wishes into, and then we scatter them or plant them, and it is great. So I encourage you to take a small moment, simple and sacred, to honor this Beltane season, either by yourself or with your family. I will go ahead and repost. I did not include that Beltane poem with the handouts, but I'll go ahead and include that on the replay page as well, so it can maybe spark some of your own ritual plans for Beltane. And I'm going to go ahead and close now with this prayer, again with this ordinary day theme, with this prayer to an ordinary day. So letting yourself soak in this one. This one I come back to a lot. It's a prayer to an ordinary day. Prayer to an ordinary day. Ordinary day, I embrace you. Your small lessons and tender moments, your soft magics and sharp edges, your tiny enchantments and bold horizons, your bumps and bruises, your twists and surprises. I embrace your refusal to be predictable or contained, how you proceed at exactly your own pace and in your own way, no matter how much we might struggle to control you. You are fierce with reality, and I will not argue with you, but step into you willingly, my heart and hands open, brave enough to love you and all you hold. Thank you. And thank you, Dawn. I'm glad you were here today. Thank you, Christy and Amanda and Lori and Kim and Saray and Taryn and Leanne. So glad. Kara, Victoria. Oh, my mom's here. Barbara, Karen, Maxine, Jody, Kim. So wonderful to share space with you today. So keep on loving those ordinary days. Keep giving what you can give and sharing what you can share, and keep returning again and again. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Sherry. Glad you were here. So happy Beltane, everybody. And may you take time to replenish and renew, to recommit, and to choose, and then hold that promise up under the Beltane moon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Teal and Amanda. Bye-bye, everybody. Happy Beltane.